Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. This is the Built Different podcast with Tucker Speed. This week, I was joined by our team here at Tucker Speed. We kind of did a little recap on the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally and everything that went on, getting out to the rally, what we did out there, my wreck while I was there, trying to get home. Got their perspective on it. Talked a little bit about BRL racing and our future there. It was a great episode. Thanks to the guys for joining. But before we get started, go follow us on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. It just helps us continue to grow this podcast and keep moving forward. And this show is brought to you right now by tuckerspeed.com. All your performance needs, gear, hit us up for whatever you need. Now on to the episode. Check it out.
Making power by day, making friends at night. Built different. Tucker Speed. Hell yeah, brother.
All right, we're live. Welcome to the Built Different podcast. Joined by the crew today. Most of the crew that went with us to the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally. Talk about the rally, what happened, what didn't happen. So first off, we're joined by Jason, kind of my right-hand man. I do all around this place.
Nate, this is not your podcast.
Joined by Nate, technician, joined by Steve, my front-end guy. So these guys were all with us in Durango. We had a good time. We're going to talk about it. But first off, we have a good listener question of the episode that we're going to talk about. Jimothy S. wrote in and asked, after my injury, if you can't see, I'm sitting in a wheelchair because my knee's still broken. He asked, what are our future plans for flat track and BRL racing? We haven't really talked about it much as a shop. I mean, I kind of have hinted a little bit that I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know what you guys think. Flat track is where I always tend to get hurt. I think flat track, I might really start to dial back, I don't know what you guys have any thoughts on any of that. I think
with the flat track, it's definitely taken a seat to BRL. BRL is what.
I haven't been racing a lot of flat track in the last few years.
That thing has been on the shelf for a minute. When was the last time you rode flat track? Was it Salt Lake?
Before Durango, it was in Salt Lake, which was 2 years before.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been on a flat track bike in 2 years. So, and then, blow the dust and cobwebs off and
change the front end.
And then go out there and break my leg. Looks like we got a nice visitor behind us. You'll have to go around, Phil. But BRL, I think that's the big question. As a team, we have a lot invested into the BRL, into the BRL bike. To date, I haven't missed a BRL grid that they've had. I've been on every race, lined up for every green flag.
Yeah.
So to think that the upcoming race in November at Willow, we won't be there. It kind of sucks, but I definitely won't be on the bike. I won't even be on 2 feet at that point. So it's kind of, I guess the question is do we look for a rider, bring someone in to ride the bike for us? We'll prep the bike, get it all ready. I don't think we would have time for that rider to test on the bike, so it's just going to be basically practice day at the race will be their shakedown. Let's try and get it as dialed in for them as we can.
Just the way we do it.
But what are your guys' thoughts on that? Putting somebody else on the bike. You've been to most of the races. Nate, you've been to a few of them now. Steve, you've just got one under your belt?
Yep.
So for you, it probably wouldn't be a huge difference whether it be me riding it or somebody else. But for someone like you, where that's kind of been how it is, what do you guys think? And be honest with me, because I want to know, because I literally have not made up my mind on what to do.
Well, I mean, I know we talked about it before. I was talking to you about then out in the back about how you'd feel about having another rider, because obviously you're not going to be on it for this last race of the season. And we were talking before. You were saying it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, since BRL started, you've been the one on the bike, and still showing up, but having another rider might be like a two-way, different kind of view. It'd either light a fire and make you want to get back on, or you might like it and end up thinking, hey, maybe we keep a rider going. But I think regardless, if it's possible, I think it'd be good to be able to go out to Willow Springs, even if we don't end up racing, because I know we got a lot of the racers out there that good friends that, saved our ass in the last race, helping us find parts and everything. Might be nice to be able, at least be able to go out there and watch the races.
Support and be there. Yeah, I mean, and that's a big part of it too. Like just being there with people that we've formed good relationships with, and when we go to the racetracks, it's great to talk to them and hang out with them. Friends that we don't get to see every day, we get to see only on race weekends, and to kind of miss out on that. So that definitely is part of the equation on, do we want to continue or not? I think for me, it's like, I mean, in the beginning, when we first built the bike or started building the bike, we were talking about just building it and hiring a rider. That was one of our first thoughts. And then as I got building it, I'm like, man, I don't want to hire anybody. Like, I want to ride this thing, like I'm building it. I want to ride this thing. Like I love racing. I'm going to ride it. I might not be very good. And we had no idea before the first BRL, and we all know how that went. I had a decent weekend, rode halfway decent, and the rest is history. So, but yeah, maybe, I mean, and as you guys know, over the last 3 weeks here in the shop, me being out has really put a bind on us here in the shop. We've kind of had to shuffle some people around to try and keep workload kind of flowing. I mean, it's really hard that I have a month's worth of appointments booked out for me to be doing. And then I get injured and I'm out. And, it really kind of puts a bind on our workload. And so I got to factor that in. I just don't know how much more can I afford to be injured and be outside of the shop,
We've never had that happen. I mean, you've been, you've gone down. You've had some hits.
Minor injuries,
but
little things
been
here and
light.
there.
I mean, this has been,
I mean, I've never had an injury where I wasn't back in the shop the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
even with my shoulder, when I broke my shoulder, it was like I had surgery, and like 2 days later I was back in here. This one's been a little more serious and a little more, painful on the recovery side. And I mean,
It's limited your days.
if you would have asked me a month ago, like I would have never been out of work for, 7 or 8 days straight. Like it's just not
I don't
how
think
I
I've ever
roll.
seen that.
You know what I mean?
Never seen that.
So the only time I've ever seen you take that much time off is when you guys left for your one vacation that you
Yeah,
had
one
since I've been here.
vacation that that I've taken in 8 years that I've been here. And, and that was planned. And this one was not planned, and it really put a bind. You've had to kind of step away from the front counter and jump back into the shop and try and keep some work moving, which leaves Steve kind of
By himself.
solo up front.
That's not easy.
Kind of dealing with moving appointments around and keeping customers happy, and which you've done a great job of. I mean, hats off to, trying to manage everybody, keeping them happy, and, moving appointments around and changing expectations. And I think for the most part, I mean, what do you think, Steve? I think most people have been pretty understanding, don't you think?
We have great customers. The majority of people are aware of what's happening with the races and where we're at, because Jordan does a great job with keeping social media up to date, and obviously we have our podcast. So most of the people, our consistent customers, are already aware of what's going on, and their main concern was honestly your well-being. They'd come in and ask about you, what kind of information we had, and so that's really cool. Anybody that I have to, ask about rescheduling appointments for, they were all very understanding. A new customer, somebody who's maybe not even familiar with the industry or the shops, even in the state, it's kind of irrelevant to them because I'm just scheduling and it's easy. But haven't really had anybody that was upset or that showed even, any kind of frustration with it. They all understood, and that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's cool to have a customer base that, you have that kind of connection with, that they care about our well-being or my well-being, and our understanding when shit happens, and they understand that, yeah, they had an appointment, but it may need to get pushed out a little ways or whatever. And I think that speaks to, kind of how we operate. You know what I mean? Like, we're all family here, and we really try and treat our customers as such, treat them how we would want to be treated. And we get that in return from them, in times like this, which is nice. Occasionally you may have a bad apple, but I think in this go around, everything's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, kind of back to the question about BRL. I gotta make a decision pretty quick for the Willow Springs round in November, because we got a bike still to get ready if we're gonna go, because we haven't really even worked on it since Illinois, so we got a lot of work to do on the bike. I've talked to a couple guys already. A couple guys have already reached out about riding it. So I have a couple of people in mind and a couple of people that I've talked to. I guess I just have to come to terms with, am I okay with that? Kind of that transition from like owner rider to just owner, and being okay with putting someone else on the bike and heaven forbid they wreck the bike, or, it has a mechanical, an engine failure, or like, I'm okay with that. Like, I understand that they're out there doing their job, trying to go fast, win, be competitive, and they're pushing the limits just like I would have been, and stuff may happen. And I have to, I'll have to be okay with that. Be okay with it, like, now we got to rebuild the motor, or now we need to rebuild the bodywork because he went down or whatever, and being okay with that. So something I have to come to terms with in my head and find out if I'm okay. And I think we'll talk about it some more over the next few weeks and kind of decide what direction we're going to go.
That'd be the hardest part, man, is, at least for me, is not seeing you in that seat.
I mean, it's kind of been the way it is, but I mean, maybe it's a good direction. Maybe it's better overall. I mean, it takes me out of the risk of getting injured again and putting us in a bind in the shop. I mean, it will be hard, because I mean, every time in the past that I've raced something and then I've quit racing, I'll do okay for about a year, and then I'll just like have the itch. I'm like, I just need to go race something. You know what I mean? I just got to race something. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe I'll race RC cars or something where I won't get hurt.
Maybe get the wheelchairs going.
So you
run
race
that.
wheelchairs, new market.
Yeah.
So I feel like this last race at Willow Springs might be, like, if we end up getting a rider for it, might be a good
way to
view
test the waters.
Because if we go, regardless if we go just to watch or not, if we want to be in that race, someone else is going to have to ride.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe.
I feel like if we're going to make the trek and go out there, I would like to put a bike on the track. Like, I don't know that I would, as much as I would like to go to help support, some of my other friends out there. Like, I'd really like to be there to support like Arnie and Steve and Clay and all my friends in my class that I race against. Like, they're friends, but they're also enemies, if you will, on the track. But I love all those dudes, and I would be there to want to support them and see them do well. I would hate to go out there and not at least try and put a bike on the track. So if I'm going to go out there, I'm probably going to try and take a bike and have someone ride it.
Right. It's kind of
what makes sense to me.
kind of a hard expense to justify if you're not actually going out to race. Like, going out to just watch is quite the amount of expense.
There's what's the benefit in that? Like, what's the,
Right.
Because one of the benefits of racing for me is that, like, for the business, like, it's a huge expense. It costs money to build the bike. It costs money to close the doors and us all go out there. It costs money to, get an Airbnb or hotel or lodging and get us all there and gas and all that. One of the benefits is the marketing value that we have, like we can show people that, we sell performance parts and we're not just picking parts out of a catalog. We're actually putting these parts through the test and we can sell these parts with confidence because we've tested with them and, raced with them. And another benefit is that it just kind of feeds my personal itch of racing. But if I'm not racing, I kind of lose that. So the only benefit at that point is kind of the marketing value. So to go out there to the track and for me to not race and to not put a bike on the track, there really is no, that's just really just kind of throwing money away, honestly. You know what I mean? It's kind of how I look at it. Like it'd be fun, but it doesn't make sense for me to pay for everybody to go out there just to have fun.
Just to watch.
Just to watch. So I got to get some sort of return on the expense, and if I'm not racing, I'm not getting a personal return. The only return we would get is to put a racer on the, a rider on the bike, put it on the racetrack, and hope to bring home a trophy.
Who are you looking at running?
I don't want to say names right now on the podcast,
Gotcha.
but I've talked to a couple different people that have some race experience.
Yeah.
Couple of guys that I think that would be very competitive in the pro stock class, maybe even could ride GP, but I think it would make sense to keep the bike in the pro stock class and challenge for a podium spot. As we know from the last few races, there's some pretty fast guys in pro stock.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, a pro stock podium is still well earned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not easy.
There's some there's 4 or 5 guys that are
Yep.
very,
Bring it every time.
very capable of winning any race, So that's kind of the direction I would go if I decide to go that route. So that's our listener question of the episode from Jimothy S. If you have a question, please send it in to, I forget the email.
.com.
Oh, yeah, podcast@tuckerspeed.com. Sorry. Might be the pain med still. So, yeah, let's talk about the Four Corners Rally in Durango. I'm going to let you and Steve kind of lead off because you guys left here first on bikes.
Yeah, we rolled out. We did hour prior. Shop closed on Thursday. Is that what we did, right?
About that.
And then we stayed. We rolled over to Green River. It was about 4-hour run.
Yeah.
I think first night.
Pretty much right at that halfway mark.
Got us halfway. Not bad. I mean, the weather was pretty good. So we got in the canyon. Light rain. It was light. Not too bad. Got into Green River at about 9:30 or 10. We got a hotel there. Stayed the night. Got up. Then Jordy and about 4 other guys? Or he doesn't have a mic, huh? That's right. Met up there at the gas station. We were a little slow that morning.
Well, those guys left, 4
Yeah,
a.m.? Jordan and a group of 3 or 4 other riders, they
Yeah.
left 4 a.m. going through Spanish Fork Canyon at
They're freezing.
5 a.m.
Freezing nuggies.
It was cold because we left in the truck and trailer. I was in the truck and trailer. Nate drove the van. And when we were rolling through the canyon at about, I don't know, it's probably about 6 a.m.
About 6 when we got there.
It was dipping down into the low 40s when we were rolling through there, and they were ahead of us.
Yeah, I think the coldest it got was 43 degrees
Yeah.
in that spot.
Pretty cold. I mean, pretty cold, especially because they weren't dressed for it, especially. I mean, I think they all had light jackets and thin moto type gloves. They were all freezing. So yeah, and then they met up with you guys in Green River, right? Mm-hmm. We headed out. We caught up to you guys somewhere along the line down,
Monticello.
Yeah,
was it?
around there.
Yep.
Yeah, Monticello at the Maverick.
Yep. Kind of trailed in the whole rest of the way. Honestly, I mean, yeah, we'd bust by you type deal and
On the bikes,
just
yeah.
just
You always
rolling
go
to
faster
two
than-
lane,
Yeah.
2 lane, but still kind of
Than the convoy.
yep.
It's still kind of cool to see with Tony and me driving along, and then you guys left that Maverick a little bit after us, but like just looking in the rearview mirror, seeing a group of bikes like coming up, and you're like, oh, those are our guys, and then watching you guys just cruise by. Everybody's waving or doing something dumb as they like go by, and seeing you guys take off, and then me falling behind in the poor van. Every hill is like 3 miles an hour.
At least you had Maurer there with you. You know, Maurer with that Evo, he was just hanging back there with Blueberry.
Even Maurer left. He was out.
No, he did good.
He was just
man.
screaming at 5,500 RPMs trying to keep up.
It's so funny watching him pass, man. You just see him just dig down, just hit gear just to get around. Of course, the M8 6 speeds, man. We're just hit a little throttle, man, and get. But
So yeah, we
It's
rolled
fun.
into Durango Thursday afternoon,
I think we got what
midday.
12 noonish,
Pretty early.
around there. Yeah, we made good
noon.
time.
Yeah, like
Awesome.
1 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just about.
Had the boss's time schedule. We made it.
You made it. So yeah, we had to roll. First things we had to roll down to the dealership and start getting all of our booths set up. Because we needed to have all that set up by about, I think their deadline was about 3 o'clock on Thursday to have everything kind of set up. At least have a canopy out and kind of our footprint in the lot kind of planted, So we got all that done. And then we went on the industry ride Thursday night, which
That
is
was a
always
trip.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of just a fun opportunity to kind of get together with all of the different brands and shops and people that are there, and to get to ride with them. So yeah, we roll out, kind of rolling through the country there, kind of the back roads. Pull off at kind of a little cool spot that has a bridge going over the river, kind of take a big group photo by the river, watch people, diving into the river right there off the rocks and the bridge. And then, as most people have already seen most of the videos and the photos, the group goes to leave, and that FXR goes up in flames.
Sweet Brown makes an appearance.
That
Yeah.
poor
Oh,
Liberty
Lord, there's a
edition.
fire.
Just went.
One of the crazier things I've ever seen.
That was, man.
I mean, I've heard about bikes catching on fire and stuff like that. I've never witnessed one like to that extent. And I was standing like right there when it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I was holding a bottle of water and a can of beer in my hands, and I went over and poured both of them on it, and it didn't do anything. Everybody was pouring their bottles of water on it or whatever they had in their hands, and it wasn't even touching those flames.
Because I thought the crazy thing was they almost had it out, and then the dude that owned it went to pick it up, and it was just a massive ball
Spilled
of
more
flames.
Yeah,
fuel
and
out.
then more fuel poured out of it.
and he
Just-
gets out away from that, and you can see he's just missing a bunch of hair off his face, like
Yeah.
a big old ball of flame.
It was wild. I mean, kind of sad, honestly. Like
That was a Liberty
it was
edition.
a Liberty
right? I mean,
Edition
legit.
FXR. I believe the guy who owned its name is Corey. I don't know him, but just know who he is, kind of like through some other friends and social media. But yeah, I mean, a cool bike, especially that Liberty Edition paint. But just wild just to see that thing just go up in flames and you can't do anything about it, man. Like, it's kind of gut
A
wrenching.
lot of people tried. I mean, there was a lot of gravel thrown on that bike
Yeah,
trying
for
to get
sure.
that
That
one
fire
burnout,
out. I was like,
Throwing
it's not
it at
rocks,
it.
man.
Yeah.
And
Dude
ended
did a
up putting it
burnout
out
on
with
it.
The one dude that backed up to it and was doing a burnout in the dirt, just flipping dust at it, and
Yeah.
finally put it out.
Well, I think who finally put it out was Trevor Bird. He was the last one that came up with a 5-gallon bucket from the
that-
river
Was that Bado's crew? The young kid?
on the bike, or the one that was doing the burnout.
Well, it's like that young kid that was next to the tent with us. Was he like a firefighter, and he was like actually getting fresh dirt and throwing it on there because they
Oh,
were
I don't
actually
know.
throwing fuel-soaked dirt onto
On
the
the top
on
of
the
the bike,
bike,
which
and
is
it
just
wasn't.
making
It
it
was just
worse.
making it worse.
Yeah.
And this kid was actually going out getting fresh dirt and rolling. But I saw him over there with Bado on the Chopper Kings.
maybe,
I don't know if that
yeah.
was one of
Yeah.
them, at least one of the guys. I mean, there were several guys in there
There was
trying to knock it out. But
dozens of people trying to throw stuff on top of that bike to put it out. It was pretty crazy. Kind of like sacrifice to kick off the weekend, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, not intentional, but I mean, and the guy who owned the bike seemed to handle it as best he could. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They supposedly they put some new fuel line on it, some new spark plug wires, and a few things, and like fired the bike up the next day.
Oh, it sounded so bad.
I'm sure, yeah. And then I did see a photo. I didn't have a chance to go to the show, but I did see a photo that it was in the V-Twin Visionary Bike Show. That was cool. I mean, and if he didn't win best FXR, I'll let Jeff know that I'm disappointed. But
Hot Bike Mag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hot.
But yeah, that kicked off the weekend. I mean, Thursday night we didn't. So we left that. A lot of people were going back to the fairgrounds for kind of a get together, but we just ended up going back to the house.
Yep.
I mean, talk about that house.
The house was that was pimp cabin, man.
I mean, I really didn't want to go and work the booth. I kind of wanted to just hang out there all day.
Yeah, we were, Jordan and I, we'd be calling in turkeys every morning.
Oh,
just
geez.
calling them in.
Turkeys outside.
There's turkeys
right
out there.
outside my door,
All kinds of
or the window of my
wildlife running
room.
around out there. I mean, just
Other
just
than
a,
that,
just like, I mean, it's just this cabin set up on top of the hill. I mean, all you can see surrounding the entire house is just mountains. Just a beautiful spot, like perfect weather.
let's say it was like 400 acres for that
that what it
Airbnb.
was?
That like you had 400 or 40 acres. I knew it started with a 4. But
Yeah, it's, I mean, cool spot. And we had a good time that first night. We just had a few drinks, played some games, had a good time with each other.
that road up to the cabin was a little sketchy.
Dirt road up the
Yeah,
hill.
yeah.
That
getting
one,
to
the
the house.
180 degree uphill in
Yeah.
dirt. That one was
Probably
very
for you on a
interesting.
borrowed bike.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Especially
Considering
on the King.
I got threatened by multiple people. It's like, you tip it over, you have to pay for it. And I was just like, I'm fully aware of this.
But yeah, I mean, at least that first time going up the road, it was a little sketchy. I think after you'd done it once, kind of knew what to expect. Got a
The
little
grades,
easier.
all those dips going down the thing. I never,
Oh,
never
the-
got
the-
used to that.
Yeah,
But my fairing just bang bang. I'm hearing every little noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, going down that over that little wash section on the Road King that has like no give. It's like feeling
Yeah,
like
that
shaking
bike's
my
pretty
eyeballs
stiff.
out of my head.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the spot was perfect because, I mean, it was, like 10 minutes from the dealership?
It's a great ride to and from the dealership.
Yeah,
you could
just
really hit that
blast
road.
the
It had
canyon.
good smooth
get
curves.
a little canyon,
Right
canyon
through the
hit.
canyon, and then, yeah, you drops you out of the canyon right at the dealership. Like, it was really kind of perfect spot. Sucks I didn't get to spend more time there. My stay there got cut short. Friday, we run the booth, and then our after hours party, which turned out great. I think. I mean, we had a good time, a great turnout.
Been better if Harris would have got on the bull.
She was a little
She was on
turnt
it.
that night.
She was on it. I mean, she was life of the party on that
She
thing,
was,
man.
man. I had to continue to chase her down. I had to stay sober so I could try and keep her wrangled in. I mean, she was running around like,
No,
really? Some officer. He's like, "Is that your wife?" I'm like, "Yeah." Go up there and tell her that she's cut off. And she just gave him the business. If it would have been legit, she would have been hauled off to jail for something.
running her mouth.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, DJ, bar, mechanical bull, we threw away some prizes, just had a good time. I think it was a great, first night opening party, and had a great turnout.
yeah.
Thanks to the people that helped us put it on. Obviously, Four Corners people, had a big hand in putting it together, kind of organizing everything. And then, with the prizes, we had, drag specialties, Dixon Flannels, Law Tigers chipped in some stuff
Yep.
to kind of throw out, kind of help make it all happen. So it was fun. I mean, we had a good time. Saturday morning, we get up. I did a couple podcasts Saturday morning, got those done and out of the way. good thing because we all know what happened after that. But, we ran the booth during the day.
You guys got to go on a ride, correct? Did you take?
Yeah,
Was
you
that
guys did the Silverton,
That was
right?
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah,
was
Friday afternoon. Yeah,
After
so-
you did that podcast,
We went Saturday morning up there.
Yeah.
That's right.
and then we rolled Saturday. But
Yeah,
you guys talk about
I
that.
rode
That
on
was a
Friday. I jumped on my road glide and took Tori and a couple of friends, my little brother. We just made the little run up the canyon to Silverton, which is a beautiful
Yeah.
ride.
Oh, I loved
Yeah.
that ride. It was so
mean,
nice.
it's-
Like you hit that and it drops like 20 degrees when you get
Oh,
into
it's
Silverton.
crazy, the temperature
so
difference.
close.
Yeah.
And how high it's crazy because we stopped at that one outlook, and I mean, at that outlook, you're sitting at like 11 or 12,000 feet, I think.
I think it's somewhere up there because I think Silverton's like 11 something, isn't it? Like just shy of 12.
yeah, you're up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Silverton's just a cool spot. Like it's just, I mean, it's like you go up the road and you drop down into Silverton, and it's almost like you drop into like 1865. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
just from another time.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's pretty cool and definitely worth it. I mean, and Silverton is really the beginning of the $1 Million Highway. From Silverton, you go up and over into, is it Ouray? I think it is.
Yep.
I've yet to do that ride because I always got to get back to Durango
Yeah.
for whatever we got going on. But everybody always says the road from Silverton to Ouray is even better. You get it's a little more windy. There's crazy mine shafts,
Yep.
and different things all
Just
over the
abandoned
place.
mines that are all over the place, man. It's crazy.
Probably definitely worth the ride. I can't say from experience because I haven't got that far yet.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's always up and back for me.
I know Kyle Coford was swearing by that, and I
Yeah.
know
Yeah, they had
they
fun.
rode with us up to Silverton, and then when we rolled back to Durango, they went around.
They went
that.
up
Yeah,
and
they
over.
went-
Yeah,
And they said
went
it's
rolling.
like
it's a little
one of
bit
their
longer to
favorite
go
rides.
up and over. It turns it into quite a bit.
They said it was like 4 hours total.
Yeah. Yeah, and with how much stuff we had going on, I didn't have that kind of time to give.
we
You know what I
didn't.
mean?
That was enough just to
so-
get up there and back.
It was
before
nice,
shift.
that I mean, did get to ride, at least 100 miles while I was there.
Yeah.
50 miles up and 50 miles back.
breaking that RG.
Yeah, which performed beautifully. I can't be happier with it. You know what I mean? Like,
And I got to
everything
ride
went-
it.
What'd you think?
Yeah, like I told you, he's got the mid controls, different stance, little higher up. That 777 cam does get. Got to open it up back to the cabin. After I picked it up
Yeah,
that night, you went down, and it definitely gets, man. It's a fun little bike, but just a little, like I said, different riding stance.
for sure.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, those mids are they're quite a bit different. They're really high.
I set up higher on that thing, and I'm already tall enough, and
Yeah,
so I was felt like I was more like on a ST ish than a Road Glide, just because I had more wind hitting the top.
Yeah.
But it still felt good.
Yeah.
The suspension was good. Your setup, you picked everything.
everything worked out
Straight,
good.
man. That's good.
Super happy with how it all turned out. So, yeah, I did win. I put the bike
Yeah,
in the
that's
V-Twin
right.
Visionary show and won best road ripper. So thanks, thanks Jeff.
But not only that, the King finally got some recognition, man.
It did.
and you weren't even there to see.
I
it.
wasn't on Sunday.
As
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
many
King
times-
won.
As
the
many
Road
times
King,
as-
the Road King finally won an award after 4 years of
You
putting
weren't
on
even- you
shows.
weren't
I
even
mean,
there, man. I was like-
I wasn't there. That was in Botto's Chopper King performance show.
Yeah.
So thanks to Botto for giving me some love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's back to Saturday. Saturday, I had my Road Glide, and was the Road King in the show? Road King wasn't in the show.
Not in the
Not in the
V-twin.
V-Twin Visionary
No,
show,
no,
yeah. But the Road Glide was. I was over at the flat track races because they were getting kicked off. I mean, looking back, like the races kept getting postponed, like, another hour, because it was supposed to start at like 2. And then ended up not starting until I think
It's like
5 or
it's
6.
5, 6, yeah.
And I just kept waiting at the track for things to start, and that's why I didn't go over to the V-Twin Visionary show to kind of see who won. I mean, Tori had to go up and get the award for it and talk about the bike, and she's just like, I like it, and it costs a lot of money.
I know how much it costs.
But yeah, so I, kind of waiting at the flat track. You guys kind of wrapped up at the booth and then came over to the racetrack and still waited some more for racing to start. Got through practice and qualifying, and I was actually riding pretty good. I actually qualified good in the Hooligan Pro class. I won the Super Pole qualifying and then got second in the qualifying race.
He had one of the fastest laps, didn't he? Well, I think.
In the Super Pole, I had
yeah.
a fast lap, yeah. So I felt good. I didn't feel good on my Honda. Felt good on the Sporty, though.
Which is weird. So you always do better on the Honda.
Yeah, but it was kind of flip-flopped. I don't know. Lined up and I had signed up for 3 different races, plus the pit bike. Lined up for the first race of the night. Ended up hitting the wall first.
Got some air.
It was a straight classic, huh, Jordy?
Well,
Dude, we saw it from our vantage point, man. Dude, you hit them hailtails, dude. Straight full send, man.
well, and it's that stupid front end I put on it, and I did it to myself. It doesn't have very much turn radius, and when the back tire kicked out, and I tried to counter steer out of it, it hit the stop, and then when it hits the stop and you can't turn anymore, what happens is it ends up picking the bike up and then turning you. And that's what happened. So it kicked out. I counter steered, hit the stop. It kicked the bike up, which made me turn to the right, shot me right at the fence. And I remember like last minute hitting the stop to the left, like trying to turn to miss the wall. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to miss the wall. And then I'll just boom off the wall, off the hay bale, balled myself up.
So that one was crazy too, because I was standing in the middle taking pictures. And they had the jump for the race for later, and so you couldn't see once you went around that corner from where I was standing. You couldn't see the bikes, and all of a sudden I just saw the top of your head back down.
Yeah, it was quite the ride. I mean, I hopped up.
Got a bow to the crowd.
They red flagged the race. Yeah, I hopped up.
That was funny.
It was funny because I seen people like running like down the stairs to like peek over the wall to see if I was dead. You know what I mean?
Well, they're probably
I just
wondering.
popped up and saw people running down the stairs to like look over the fence, and I just was like took a bow, and they were just like, hell yeah.
Everybody cheering.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was-
they're probably wondering if you were still alive after watching that one kid on the Run What You Brung
through the
class
wall.
go through
Man,
the fence.
Yeah.
So yeah, they red flagged it. I'm like, I'm good. I'm still good. Like the bike seemed straight. Nothing was bent. Everything was good. I'm like, I'll still line up. So because I caused the red flag, they made me line up in the back. Green flag, first corner, bike steps out again. Hit the stop, high side, put my leg out, and explode my knee. And the rest is history. You know what I mean? I take an ambulance ride out of there. I don't want to go into all the details on my knee and what happened to it, but at this point, I'm 2 surgeries in, and I'm hopefully on the downhill side of recovery. On the mend. What was it, 3.5 weeks ago now? So
Just about.
I still got probably a couple months of recovery left.
You got what? You got 10 weeks.
10
Can't
weeks.
even put weight on it.
No weight, so I'll be stuck in this wheelchair for a while. But I was stuck in the hospital. I didn't get out of the hospital until Tuesday.
I think the funniest quote I heard from you was, "Yeah, I'll be back to work Thursday." Here we are 3 weeks. I mean, he has been coming in, but he found out quick, I think, on that one.
This one's been different
Yeah.
than all the ones in the past, for sure. This one's been a little different, but as I'm laying in the hospital on Sunday, having surgery, we still had another day's worth of running the booth and handling business down there. And I mean, you guys all held it down, ran the booth, and then had the task of, loading everything back up and getting ready to come back home. And
That was a trip. Because we had
and then we were also
scattered.
dealing with weather.
Yeah.
Because we had some massive storms rolling into the area, and a lot of you guys were on bikes, so we were, I was really just kind of a passenger at that point. I'm just getting information from Tori about what's going on. But I mean, kudos to you guys. You ran the booth on Sunday. you found a way to fit all the bikes in the trailers and get everything home, get everybody home, and everybody got home safe.
Yeah. It was smooth.
And you know, you guys ended up having to kind of leave me in Durango. You guys all kind of stuck to the plan and headed out Monday morning. Drove home Monday, got everything home. Me and Tori had to rent a car to get home. I mean, it was going to be hard for me to get into the truck.
Yeah, that high up.
So we rented a little SUV, and I just had to kind of lay down in the back, and she drove us home. She was a trooper and got us home Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm already ready to go back to Four Corners, though. You know what I mean? Like, even though it kind of ended kind of crappy for me, I still think it's a fun rally, great riding, just a kind of a really intimate setting with all the other vendors and brands that are there. You know what I mean? Like, we're able to kind of connect and talk to a lot of people in the industry. And how many, we saw a lot of our customers there too.
Yeah,
That's the other cool thing. Like, you go to Sturgis and everybody gets lost in the
crowds.
500,000 people that are there. You know what I mean? So like, it would be random for us to like run into one of our customers in Sturgis unless they specifically called and said, "Hey, where are you?" You know what I mean? But down there, it's like, "Oh, hey, you're from Ogden, so are we." You know what I mean? Like, it's not uncommon, and that's the cool part about the rally for us is it's more local for sure, and we have a more of an impact on our local customer base. And I mean, how many of there was handfuls of customers from the shop that were at the races that came down to the pits and were like, you know, good luck tonight. We'll be in the stands cheering you on, like, which was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do very well, but it's cool to have them cheering me on. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go back to Four Corners. It's probably my favorite rally of the year. You know, and the people that put it on, Durango Harley, it's just an awesome group of people that we're lucky to be able to be a part of. You know what I mean? It's fun for us. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys enjoy it? And I'll ask each one of you individually. And you can be honest right here on the podcast. If you don't like it, just say it.
No,
what do you guys think?
You guys had said, because you guys went 2 years ago. I think we stayed back when you guys rolled. Is that correct? Or and
last time we went,
open.
it was me, Tori, and Jordan, basically.
Yeah, so I missed. I'd never been to Four Corners. I've ridden that area, but going there and seeing the rally, you know, compared to Sturgis, like you say, you kind of get lost in Sturgis. It's so huge, so many bikes. At least there in Four Corners, you've got, like you said, man, you get to know the vendors, the other people. You're in close proximity. You know, talking over to Botto, to Fueling was right next to us. Then Codlin, you know, the vice president of Codlin, I met him and talked with him a few times about, you know, especially getting some Road Glide risers, you know, kind of like the RLNS methods, you know, and just talking that. But, you know, picking their ears, seeing what's coming out, you know, that stuff was, it was good, man. I mean, and then that cabin was, I mean, we had a good setup in Sturgis, but that cabin was spot on.
It's a piece
there.
of heaven,
I
think.
It was cool, man.
It's like,
it was cool.
like if I could retire and just chill out there,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
dream stuff
yeah.
right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Nate can hit it.
Yeah,
Nate?
for me it was amazing. So that was actually my first rally that I've ever been to.
Okay.
I've been to like a few like bike nights and like bike week stuff, but it's nothing like what Durango was. I had an absolute blast, and like we had the schedule set up. You know, we were working a certain amount of time, so the rest of the time was like free time. I found myself just like, no, I'm gonna go hang out at the booth. Like, this is crazy. This is like really cool to see, hanging out, just doing whatever. And then you know, you gave me the opportunity to go ride the Road King out, so at least got to do some kind of riding out there, which was an absolute blast as well. It's beautiful riding out there. And I'd go to that one over and over again. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of crowds like that.
It's like it's not too crazy. It's just enough people.
Yeah, like it was spread out enough that even with the amount of people that were there, it still wasn't. It didn't feel too overcrowded. Like, because I don't know if I could do Sturgis.
Sturgis,
the amount
like
of people.
Especially if you go downtown, it is just you ain't moving.
Deadwood, like packed up.
Deadwood's
Dead
a
was
nightmare.
hot
I mean,
mess.
it's cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would encourage everybody out there to at least experience it at least once.
Yeah, like
it's a lot of
I'd
people.
love to try and go to Sturgis, but I don't know if I can handle doing the crowds. It just stresses me out, and I'm just like want out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But getting set up at the dealership and then going over to the fairgrounds, seeing they had a little bit bigger setup there at the fairgrounds, and got to walk around there. But it was kind of towards the end of the day, so there wasn't a ton of people, but I was still able to go see all the booths and everything. Was awesome. Never ended up making it over to the casino because I had no idea where it was.
Yeah, that's one thing we never got a chance to do is run over to the casino and check out. They had a couple of vendors over there in the stunt lot. The stunt show's going on over there, and we were just busy enough that we never had a chance to get over there.
I was
Yeah,
going
like
to get
we-
over there and ride.
Yeah, we didn't get a
test
chance to
ride.
go over there, but I still had a blast just hanging out at the dealership or doing the odds and ends stuff. Even with the flat track mishap, that was my first flat track race as well.
It was cool
I've
that
ever
you
seen.
were able to kind of get out there in the middle too. I mean, that's the best seat in the house.
Jordan was doing a lot of other photos, and then he was in the pit bike race, so he asked me to take some photos, and getting to stand in the middle of the track and taking photos, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, as far as flat track racing going, like my first race, I could go stand out in the middle of the track. I couldn't be happier. Granted, if we don't do more flat track, I'm glad that was the experience that I got, even
Yeah,
with
right.
you smashing your knee up. But that whole experience was amazing, and I'd go back any chance I got. I think that'd probably be my favorite thing I've done in a long time. So
Right on. What about you, Steve? What'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. That's the first time I had been to that rally, and I've never ridden in that area before. I've been down through central and southwestern Utah quite a bit, but never ever into Colorado. And the ride down from here was really cool. Maybe, we're lucky to have the location that we do for a rally such as Four Corners, because it's a cool ride. Once you get out of I-15, and like at the time that Jo and I had left, it was pretty much rush hour, so we were fighting traffic. It was kind of a boring ride down through I-15, but getting through Spanish Fort Canyon and Price and all of that, it's a really good ride. And even the second day when we stepped off, we go through Moab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's some cool stuff out there. It's wide open, and whether you're taking that ride for leisure or if you're on a schedule, kind of like we were acting, we were scooting. It was a lot of fun, and the scenery and the terrain in Durango itself was somewhat similar to Utah, what we're kind of used to, but
Sure.
just fresh. The roads out there were really cool. I thought that it was cool how they had the 3 different locations, and like you guys, I didn't go to the casino either. But just the fact that you would bounce from one location to the next for the rally was really cool. And the people that lived there seemed very accustomed to it. It's a yearly thing, so I didn't see any anger
Was it?
issues.
It was
Yeah.
like their 30-year anniversary,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's
So
30,
it's kind of an older rally.
Yeah.
That they're, I know that the current owners of the rally I think they've owned it for like 4 or 6 years now, and they're trying to kind of revive it. It kind of trickled off and wasn't very well managed, I guess, and they're trying to bring it back. I think they're doing a great job because I mean, it seemed like it seemed busier this year than it was 2 years ago when we were there. And everybody that we've talked to wants to go back, and I think that's a good sign for them.
I appreciated the amount of space there, the ability to actually ride, like going to Silverton for the most part. Everybody's able to hit those spots where you can open it up. You can get space between your riders and
Yeah.
have fun. Whereas, keep going back to Sturgis, which is a great rally, but it is massively crowded. And you try to
for
ride
sure.
the Black Hills
Yeah.
out there during the
During
rally.
the rally.
It's motorcycles literally as far as you can see
Yeah.
in front and behind you. You're not going fast.
Yeah, trying to run through the canyons, it's just bike to bike. You're doing, 25, 30 miles an
Yeah.
hour through the canyon. You can't really open it up and experience the riding. Like, if you want to go ride the Black Hills, don't go during the rally. Go up there, before or after.
Yeah.
Because riding during the rally just isn't
Yeah.
very good.
And Sturgis is full of its own gems here and there, but personally, I like rallies like Four Corners because of the space.
For sure.
And where we stayed, everything, it was awesome. It was a fantastic trip.
Well, I hope so. I mean, one of the reasons that, that I've decided to kind of do these things is, I spent 8 years in a dealership, and I didn't do one rally, one show, anything, even just personally, because they really didn't like us taking time off during the summer because we were so busy. They didn't do anything as a shop. I mean, I went to Sturgis in 2003 before I started working in the industry. Then in 2004, I moved to Phoenix and went to school, and then moved home and started working at the dealership. And 2003 was the last time I had gone to a rally. And after 8 years in the dealership, I'm like, I don't even get to do what I enjoy doing anymore. You know what I mean? And so when I came here, it's like, I don't want to do that. What the dealership did to me, I don't want to do to my guys here. Like, we can't afford to just take it off and just take off and go for a shop ride for a week. But if we can do a work trip / leisure trip, we can make that work. I mean, we sold a lot of merch while we were down there. We set up the booth, we sold a ton of t-shirts, vests, gloves, all kinds of stuff. Made a couple of bucks while we were there. We were able to do some riding, little bit of racing, hanging out with each other at the Airbnb, just having a good time. And my hope is that you guys enjoy it as much as I do, is my hope.
God bless.
Because, I mean, I love those trips, honestly.
Except you and
it's
Tori
what I
making-
live for. You know what I mean?
Except you and Tori taking all of our money.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's left,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
center, and you guys.
It's
was
hard
that
not
game?
to feel guilty because it's so easy to enjoy. You know what I mean? And coming from working at a dealership myself, it's exactly like you said. Like they don't want you out of there during the busy season. So yeah, the fact that you guys do that for us as a shop is like, it's just so awesome.
And I think it's good for us as a shop and as a team. I mean, we all come back and we're excited to get back to work. We're excited to come to work with each other. I mean,
I'm just joking.
I think the first.
door's right there, bro.
I think the first day back was a little hard for us to be excited to get back to work because we were still worried about you getting home.
Yeah, this
But
trip
once
was a
we-
little different.
Yeah.
Once we knew you were back, we're like, all right, let's get this going. And even before you got back, we're like, all right, let's get in the swing. Let's get this taken care of. So it wasn't a single thing.
This
you had
one
to
was
worry
hard
about.
because, well, and I'll tell you straight up, after doing a bunch of these with everybody, like that week we get back to work is a long week because those trips are,
You gotta get back
they're
in the
still a lot
grind.
of work.
Yeah.
So your weekend was just spent at a booth and then, traveling home. And then the next day you're right
back
back
at it.
to work. So like, you're really ready for that next weekend when it rolls around. I get it. But for me, it's totally worth it. You know what I mean? To have those opportunities and experiences that we have when we're out on the road. I mean,
always fun.
we'll be talking about this trip for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the testament to how fun the trip is how much you talk about it after you get home. If you don't talk about it very much, then it probably wasn't a very good trip. So, yeah, I think it was a success. I had a blast. I hope you guys had a good time, even though I'm still recovering. I'd still do it all over again. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I've got a real appreciation for like getting the opportunity to even go to that. The few shops that I've been at before, those non-existent. It was work and go home, take your own time off if you need it, whatever. But getting the opportunity to do stuff like the racing and the rallies, like we were working the whole time we were there. Like we had our little bits of time off and everything, but we all knew we were there to work. But even when we were working, I didn't feel like work. I had a blast doing it.
I mean, you could be here working or you could be in Durango working. Like,
Yeah, getting the opportunity to travel with a shop to somewhere I've never been, to a rally that I've never been to
Yeah.
a rally or anything. Like it's
meet
a
and talk
huge
to people you would never
appreciation.
run into. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's,
Meeting some of the other vendors and stuff. Some of those
Yeah.
guys are hilarious.
yeah. And there's some great people. And as you'll find over the years, as you continue to go to these shows and rallies, a lot of it is the same people. And you're like, hey, man, haven't seen you since Four Corners. And you kind of like the races, you begin to form these relationships and you just start chatting with a guy like he's your best friend, even though you hadn't seen him in a year since the last rally. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's good. I mean, and I think it's good for us to be, there with some of the top brands in the industry and talking to their team and their crew. It keeps us up to date and fresh on what's new in the industry, parts coming out or clothing coming out or whatever it might be.
I do say if we go back next year, I think we need to get stuck by Chopper Kings again because those guys are hilarious.
He's
wild.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's funny.
So, well, that puts us right about the hour mark. I appreciate you guys staying late and talking about the rally. Appreciate you guys, everything. I mean, I guess, want to just put it out there. I really appreciate what you guys have done in the last 3 weeks, kind of stepping up, handling business while I've been kind of on the mend. You guys have handled it like professionals, and I really appreciate all your work. And thanks for staying late and doing a podcast with me. And that's it. See you guys next time.